Hey folks, this is Billy DKY, the truth seeker that simplifies and demystifies. Today we're going to be talking about parenting and training. And when I say training, I mean training yourself, where parenting you're training somebody else. So they're very similar in nature, so I clump them together. And like I say, what you're doing to your kids is very similar to what you should be doing to yourself and vice versa. Okay. The first step to parenting is to conquer your issues. Now think about it. You're not going to be able to instill good qualities of life if you haven't first instilled them. You're not going to be able to instill good qualities in your kids if you first have not dealt with your own issues. Your kids are going to continue on to perpetuate the issues that you have, or at least they're going to have less of a chance to overcome their issues if you haven't overcome your issues. And really, enlightenment is really nothing more than, well, not nothing more, but it's partly just reparenting yourself, because you didn't have enlightened parents, and so you're having to parent yourself. Okay. The second step is to pick a mate who you can work with. Okay. If you're not picked, that's why I say the first one is to deal with your issues. If you've dealt with your issues, you're going to get a good mate, because people typically get what they deserve. And so if you don't, if you're not mentally healthy, you're not going to get somebody that's probably mentally healthy. So first step is conquer your issues. Second issue is to pick a mate who likewise is mentally healthy and somebody you can work with, somebody you can train these kids together. You can have a unified front. If you're divided, the kid's going to see that and work you apart and all this stuff, and it's just going to be a mess. So again, first step to parenting is to conquer your issues. The second step is to pick a mate you can work with. Next thought process. This is extremely simple, but it's extremely powerful, and it works almost everywhere. Can't think of hardly many examples where it doesn't work. And again, don't confuse the simplicity of it for lack of power. Reward good behavior, punish bad behavior. Sounds simple enough, ain't it? That works in everything. Train your dog, people you work with. Even your boss, training, reward good behavior. You're going to be you have to be more subtle that way. However, that's how it works. Everybody, your dog, your wife, your parents, everybody, everything. Okay. Notice that's what God does too. You start smoking cigarettes, what's going to happen? You're going to get punished. Your body's going to fall apart. There's going to be punishments. So let's talk about discipline. I've been noticing kids these days really don't have a lot of discipline, and really that's the parents' fault, and that was their parents' fault for not disciplining them, and it's a cycle of just getting slacker and slacker until it becomes a big problem. However, excessive discipline is abuse. We've all seen it. It's just too much. And let me start by saying too, in your training and as well as in disciplining your kids or training your kids, baby steps. If you're a parent, you haven't been disciplined at all, and you watch this video, I want to install discipline. Baby step it in. Don't try to control everything. Baby step those discipline. Give it time, give it years to work its effects. So like I say, start off maybe 10% discipline. Don't try to, because your kid's going to rebel on you, just like your own mind would rebel on you if you try to discipline your mind too much. So always apply discipline in baby steps from where you're currently at. No discipline is abuse too. A lot of people think they don't want to be abusive. Oh, I don't want to abuse my kids, so I just want to mess with discipline. Well, you're abusing your kids by not disciplining, because what you're doing is creating a little brat in the world. What you don't deal with, the world's going to have to put up with. So you're creating a kid that's probably going to wind up in jail or get hurt really bad by somebody in society because they didn't get the discipline and the manners they needed at home to be able to deal effectively with life without being a burden on life. Discipline your kids without abusing them. It's discipline can be hard to implement without getting angry, violent, and hitting out of anger your kid or something. You want to avoid those kind of situations. If you can't in the moment, you can't pull away without violence, or if in that moment you can't do it without violence, you wait time until you can do it without violence, or if you don't have a calm mind, it's not the time to instill discipline. Effective discipline comes from a calm mind. And that's why I go back to the first issue The first thing I said in this video was the first step to parenting is to conquer your issues. Well, if you've conquered your issues, you are calm in most situations, if not all of them. So you'll know what to do. You'll know what's really going on. Okay. A good parent replaces scissors with a ball. So notice, you don't have to just take and give. You know, kids playing scissors, you give the ball, you take the scissors, hey, ball. You know, it likewise, you can replace bad habits with good habits. And that's the same with your kids, you know. If you've been letting them eat whatever they want, you start replacing with more healthy foods. Like with yourself, you can start replacing with good habits. And again, when you're taking these shifts, don't try to change everything at once. Baby step. Only small changes that you really can do for a long time, you know, that can stick. If it ain't going to stick, what's the point of even doing it, you know? And this next section, this next thought process came up because I was like, I don't know if I want to have kids or not, because I know I'd worry endlessly about them. Worried somebody to do this to them, or that to them, and this and this and this and this, and I'd just be, you know, just wore out with worrying. So but this freed me from it. This next part, they are God's children. You know, I was thinking they're my children. Well, obviously, I don't have kids yet, but if I do, I'll be thinking they're mine, but they're really not yours. They're God's children. You're just given a little responsibility. Or like I say, you've just been given a little responsibility to take care of them, manage them, and then eventually, you know, you do, like I was saying before on the other videos, we're talking about gardening and stuff like that. You do your part and you let God do His, which your part's about 5%, to 95% is God's. So, and as your faith grows in the ways of nature and God and the universe, your worries start lessening. You quit worrying so much about your kids. I'm not saying don't do the right thing or just go do whatever you want. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, and again, notice what I said. It comes back to the first principle. The first step to parenting is conquering your issues. You're not going to parent well if you don't know how to manage yourself well. You're not going to manage somebody else well. So again, it always goes back to the first thing. The first step is conquering your issues. If you wouldn't mind, please rate the video, and later, folks.